Hello everyone, hope you're doing well. And what a start to the week it could be for West Ham United fans. According to reports, Nikola Milenković is set to be a West Ham United player in the next day or two. And what's exciting news that could be? I say according to reports, I believe it. But if it doesn't happen, I blame them. It's not my fault, it's their fault. They reported it, I'm just talking about it. But I do believe it. A couple of weeks ago, there was too many centre-backs were being linked with, and I've been sort of patiently waiting, thinking, come on, who is David Moyes' number one target? And this is the one I picked out a couple of weeks ago. I just believed it for numerous reasons I'll get into in just a second. But it appears now that it could very well be the man that David Moyes wants, and the man David Moyes gets. Nikola Milenković, Serbian centre-back, 23 years of age, from Fiorentina. Now, the main reason is because when we rewind 12 months ago, forget the fact that Man United and Tottenham were bidding for him for 40 million and getting it rejected. I'm throwing that in because that's important. That shows the player's ability, his reputation in European football, his potential. But ignore that for just a minute. We were linked to him. 12 months ago, and Nikola Milenković, nothing come of it. We signed Craig Dawson on loan in the end. We went from a £40 million centre-back, Milenković, Tarkowski. We were linked with numerous big money centre-backs, and we took Craig Dawson in the end. But now we're going in for him. I think it's fair to assume, and I think you have to, and I will assume, that in the last season, the one that's just finished, we've been scouting him. We have done our due diligence on this guy. That Moyes has made sure that when he pays out on Nikola Milenković, he's the one he wants. He's so good, he's going to come in, demand the first team place. He's too good to leave out. And that excites me a little bit. And it's the first signing that we've made under Moyes, bar Jesse Lingard, that I feel convinced that this is Moyes' pick. This is the player that David Moyes sees coming into the club, coming into West Ham, being a long-term part of his plans at what he wants to do. He's often spoke about the Red Bull model, so on and so forth. And while I don't think this quite fits that, I don't think it's far off it, because the whole model, if you want, is about buying players, developing them, and selling them for a profit. Obviously, we hope we won't do that with him. 23 years, give him 2-3 good seasons at West Ham, and he's still only 26, 27. His birthday's in October, so the ages don't match up. He's practically 24 in my opinion. But even a few good seasons at West Ham, he's still only 27 years old. He'd be in his prime, his value would be the highest it's ever going to be, kind of thing. And you just think that this signing is perhaps an indication of what David Moyes wants to do. And I'm excited by it, which is rare for me. I often have a cap on my excitement for signings, if you want, because say Pablo Fornals as an example. I'd never heard of Fornals when we signed him. I watched that Spanish tournament in the summer, got glimpses of him. My excitement crept up a little bit, but it was still limited because I hadn't seen him do it in La Liga. And it's the same with Milenković. I'm not seeing him play for Fiorentina or Serbia. Well, I would have seen him for Serbia when Scotland put them out of the Euros, but I didn't notice him, okay? However, because of a few things, because of David Moyes scouting him, chasing him for 12 months, that gives me reassurance. We know Moyes can be a bit slow. I'm the first one to call him Dithering Dave. It's not my nickname, it's what Everton fans called him. But I feel it sometimes at West Ham. I feel he can be a bit slow. So when Moyes goes for a player, he must be very convinced. If he takes his time over his signings and decides that's the guy I want, you have to assume he's done everything he needs to do. They called it the Moyes sort of MOT test at Everton when he would do his characteristic checks and stuff. You'd have to assume he's done that in the last 12 months. This is not a rushed signing. This is not a panic buy. Soufal had elements of it a year ago because we were linked to him a little bit, and then Fredericks got injured in a league game. Soufal joined 2 days later. That, while we might have picked a player out, we might have done a little bit of stuff on Soufal, it was a result of an injury to Ryan Fredericks. It felt a little bit like, oh, we better get someone in. He'll do. That guy, let's get him in. It's worked out. It's been fantastic, you know. But this one doesn't feel hurried, doesn't feel rushed. To some extent, it doesn't even feel that necessary. But I like that. That means Moyes sees him as someone that's going to come into that first 11, knock someone on the bench, or play 3 at the back. He's going to be one of the 3 at the back as well. And I like it. I like it a lot. Now, like I was saying, my excitement for this one is massive. Not the transfer, but the player, because there's some people I know whose opinion on football I trust. They rate him highly. They say to me, Gio, you'll be one of the best centre-backs you'll ever see at West Ham. He's got the potential to be one of the best centre-backs in the Premier League. Now, I'm trying not to get carried away, but like I said, I trust their opinion. That gets me excited. The fact he's a right-sided centre-back, can cover right-back, but he's a right-sided centre-back predominantly. I like that. Because as far as I'm concerned, Ogbonna starts every week. When fit, Ogbonna starts. He's that good. Last season, Ogbonna made Dawson better. He made Diop better. When you took Ogbonna out when he was injured and Diop had to play with Dawson, we fell apart. The defence, I had no confidence in the centre-back pairing of Dawson and Diop, really. Ogbonna must start. So this guy, the question is he good enough to put Dawson on the bench? Well, I'm going to say yes, because I'm not Dawson's biggest fan. In fact, I'm fearing Craig Dawson at St James's Park. I got nightmares from a year ago. The one thing that makes me a bit hesitant is this a repercussion of Ogbonna's lack of fitness, if you want. He missed a few games last season. He always does, doesn't he, Ogbonna? And now there's sort of doubts over if he's going to be fit for Newcastle. So I know someone will say it. When do we need to sign him so he can play? He needs to be signed by noon on Friday, Milenkovic, if he's going to play against Newcastle. But you can't do that, can you? He has to sign today or tomorrow, so Moyes has got a couple of days with him, and we may still see him at St James's Park on Sunday afternoon against Newcastle. We might do. It depends on Ogbonna, I guess. But long term, forgetting Sunday for a moment, long term, I hope this guy can come in and demand a place in the team, because if he is that good, if he's good enough, if he's as good as what people tell me, if he's good enough for Moyes, I've watched him for a year, and spend 15 million, because while 15 million is what I would call punt money in the Premier League these days, for context, now you can always find someone cheaper and someone more expensive, can't you? But for context, Danny Ings is 30 million. That's a short-term 2-3 season job. 30 million is the price. So for a centre-back, 15 million with the potential, who was courted 12 months ago by Man United and Tottenham. This summer he was linked to Juventus, AC Milan. These are big European teams, and while they don't get every transfer right, of course they don't, but when those types of teams go after the players you're getting, it's been almost like projected by some people that talk about football for a living, for example. Those pundits, they're almost talking about this as a bit of a coup for West Ham, and it's hard not to get excited. It's hard not to get carried away. Maybe it's because we're so starved of signings so far. Yes, we've got Areola, but this is the first one. I mean, 15 million. Like I said, it's punt money in Premier League, but it's still a substantial amount of David Moyes' budget. Now, no one knows what his budget is. We got at the start of the window 85 million. No one really believed that, did they? But I think 40, 50 million is what people thought. Okay, maybe that sounds realistic if that's what we're going to spend. Let's take the lower end of that, even less than that, because not many people are too confident we've got money to spend. Even 40 million, 15 million is a large chunk of that money to spend on your centre back. It doesn't give you much left for the rest of the squad. 25 million, it's not much, is it, to go get after a striker and or a midfielder, because arguably I think we need both. So it's a substantial piece of David Moyes' kitty to go on one player. He's got to start, he's got to go into that starting 11. We can't afford to spend 15 million on a player and he doesn't go into the starting 11. But that's also something else that excites me. I've always been frustrated sometimes when we sign a player and he doesn't start week in, week out. He's Ben Rama. I know people won't like it, right? But statistically, this is number game now. Last season, he didn't start that much. Okay, I think we can all agree we'd all like to see more of Saïd Benrahma. We spent 25 million on him in the end, and he was a squad player. That's what he was. Now next season, hopefully he can be a key player. He's had a fantastic pre-season. Hopefully we see a lot more Benrahma and he justifies the 25 million. But last season we spent £25 million on a player who was in and out of the team, so on and so forth. And that's not good enough. That is not good enough for West Ham. We can't afford, monetary and time-wise, we can't afford to buy players for 15-20 million not playing week in, week out. Because we don't have much money. We are in this funny period now that we've made massive progress in the last 12 months. Arguably, we've progressed too quickly to some extent. We've gone from relegation candidates to Europa League group stage in one season. You want to grow or naturally you want to go organically, don't you? You want to get in players, you build slowly, you become a mid-table team, then you go for European football. And it's difficult because now we've made that jump. It's like, well, the investment is required. We don't have the investment. We don't have enough money to back David Moyes. You can question if we've got the ambition to back David Moyes. So this signing, should it happen, and I believe it will, has to be right. But because Moyes has done his scouting, and statistically, I like my numbers. You know I like my numbers. Statistically, while I haven't watched him, I've had a look at the numbers behind the player. He looks like a Moyes player. The type of blocks he does, his heading numbers is insane. His tackling success rate is incredible. You can cover right back. There's a lot of stuff, without watching him play, there's a lot of stuff that says this is a David Moyes type of defender. But we have to get it right. And I'm quite excited that should Nikola Milenković become a West Ham United player in the next day or two, we have got it right. Maybe we'll see him at St James's Park, but hopefully, regardless of that, we'll see him at West Ham United. Anyway, if you enjoyed this video, drop a like on it, subscribe if you're new. I'll catch you tomorrow.